Well, logging off the phone and logging onto life, getting any member of the family to loosen their grip on social media sure isn't easy, but if you're successful, it could be life-changing. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Tamsin Fidel.
And I'm Erin E. LeBeau. So it's easy to allow yourself to get lost on your phone, especially when you're scrolling through social media. Then all of a sudden you look at the time and you realize you've wasted 30 minutes, an hour, maybe 2 hours. But all that time wasted actually adds up and can have a negative impact.
Yeah, it sure can. Dr. Brian Boxer-Wachtler is author of the book Influence, The Impact of Social Media on Our Perception. And he joins us now with some advice and tips to protect yourself and the kids from the dangers of too much social media. Nice to have you with us.
Nice to be here, and thank you so much, Tamron and Erin, me for having me on the show. And first, I wrote the book Influenced as a 911 call to action for your viewers because I'm a Beverly Hills keratoconus eye surgeon, and I have a flaw. I easily became addicted to social media, even though I have 3.5 million followers.
Wow.
And that's why if it happened to me, then it's very likely this can happen to a lot of your viewers watching right now and also their children. And that's why I took it upon myself to do that research and be transparent about my experience to show you the tips and the tricks to avoid the problems that I had.
So let me ask you something. Was there a breaking point? What made you decide, like, you know what? Did you get to 3.5 million and say, that's it, it's enough? Did you have some kind of reality check? What was it?
I was so obsessed with growing my platform that I was completely oblivious to what was happening. And it really took my wife and my twin teenage daughters, who ironically got me onto TikTok, starting off as an influencer, to sit me down and say, you know, this is just way too much and it's out of control.
Wow. All right.
So, doctor, how can someone tell if they're addicted to social media or that it's really become a problem?
Some red flags are if you feel that when you wake up in the morning, you have to check your phone, check the feeds, and right before you go to bed, if you feel like I've got to see what's going on, those are red flags. And also if you just find yourself losing minutes, hours of the day and not even aware of how much time has gone by, those are some of those telltale signs. In fact, in the book Influence, I have a whole chapter called Living with Social Media that helps people identify some of those warning signs for themselves, but also for their loved ones and their children too.
So let me ask you this. I know you have some tips that will help people kind of curb their use, because it's one thing to say you shouldn't do it too much, another thing to actually put that into play. So how do you set those limits on social that people can live with, or the kids can live with, where they feel like there's at least some type of balance?
Yeah, that's the key word that you just said, is balance. And some of the tricks are silence all notifications on your phone, because when you hear those or you even just feel the vibration, we're like Pavlov's dogs. We just want to go and see what's going on because of FOMO, fear of missing out. So definitely silence your phones. And also you can even put a limit on how many minutes you're allowing yourself to be on the apps before they shut down. And again, in my chapter, the whole chapter called Living with Social Media goes into a lot of those things that people can use to safeguard themselves, but also their children, so that they do have a balance and it's not out of control. Because, you know, the apps are designed to make us all addicted, and we need to safeguard ourselves.
Yeah, okay, so this next one might be harder for adults, but also some kids. Turn off your smartphone at dinner time. Can we add bedtime in there, and how does that impact the person?
Well, definitely when we're with people, like at meals or dinners, like we're human beings. We want to spend that time in person. We're real social that way. And the electronic connections via social media is not really being social. So yes, I recommend to put your phones away, leave them. If you're going out for dinner, leave them at home. Don't even take them with you, so you don't even have those temptations when you're with real people.
I'm curious about this because I think this applies to adults and kids, I guess. But how do you limit interactions with cyberbullies or trolls? Because I know that can become something that you go down a rabbit hole and it's hard to get out of sometimes.
Cyberbullies and interacting with them has been shown through studies to increase depression, anxiety, even people harming themselves and committing suicide. So really the best strategy, and one of the things we talk about in the book Influenced, is to not engage, just literally just disengage with a cyberbully, ignore what they're trying to do to you, because you will never win and you're only going to risk some of those things we just talked about.
Okay, so we know not everything we see on social media is true, and that's the case for a lot of those perfect photos that we see. So can those actually have a negative impact on people, especially young girls, when it comes to body image?
Yeah, body dysmorphia is a real situation with teenage girls. Research from Instagram shows that the more time they spend on Instagram, the worse they feel about themselves and their bodies. And same now on TikTok. A recent study came out about that for teenage girls too. So parents need to have those conversations with their children, especially the teenage daughters, about social media and how to understand what you're seeing is really not reality because they're filtered a lot of times and curated, which is not realistic in terms of setting those expectations. So in my book Influence, we do go into that for parents to safeguard their children so that they don't end up with eating disorders, which is something that's happening now because of social media.
I mean, it can be very, very deceiving, all sorts of pictures. So, you know, there's a lot of safeguards that are in place. A lot of times parents can clearly not be everywhere. 3 personal things kids should not tell somebody online.
Number one, never share your home address because there have been reports of people being hurt by somebody coming and finding where they're living. Never share your social security number. And also, if you're on vacation, don't post photos of you while you're on vacation because homes have been burglarized because it's basically like big flashing lights saying, we're not home, we're on vacation, come rob us.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are a few of those things you want to definitely avoid doing.
I don't know if we have time for one more quick question because I know we're running out of time, but how did you yourself personally wean yourself off? You got a lot of followers, you're giving a lot of advice out there. So how did you do that? And are you happier?
What I ended up doing is just realizing I've grown to 3.5 million followers. I'm good. I took my foot off the pedal. And once I did that, I took the pressure off myself to keep growing my platform. And that made me happier and also more productive. And also even with my family relationships and others, it's just blossomed again. So that's my personal story. And I do go into great detail about that in my book, Influence, that people can take and apply and learn from my own experience as well as those other tips we talked about.
All right.
Yeah, one of the other tips that you didn't really mention, but also posting where you are in real time, that could be really dangerous for a lot of people. It's probably best to post once you've left an establishment. So, all right, well,
Absolutely.
Dr. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. Have a great rest of the day.
You too.
And for more information on how to handle your own family's addiction to social media or to buy Dr. Brian's book, Influence, you can check him out on TikTok at Brian Boxer Walkler, MD, or on Instagram at Dr. Boxer Walkler.